Hi. So we are here with um Ganesh as one of the members who of our community who's running for school board as a trustee. Is that correct?
Yes, for
Okay.
Area 4.
Okay, perfect. So we just wanted to start off by asking you about A, your background, and B, what you believe this position is, what it entails, etc. Just like a short answer so we can familiarize like voters with, what this position actually is.
Okay, perfect. So my background, I'm a community member from Fremont. I've been here for the last 25 years or so. My kids grew up here. They were born here. I work in Silicon Valley in technology in marketing. And I graduated from Arizona State University over here in the US, though I did my undergraduate in India. And then I've also got an MBA from the Indian Institute of Ahmedabad. So that's sort of what I am. I'm a parent. My son just graduated from Irvington High School. He's off to San Jose State University. And I've previously served on different committees within Fremont Unified School District. So that's like the Superintendent's Budget Advisory Task Force, as well as the SRO Task Force. So I've seen how committees work, how you have to bring people together, also sit in board meetings and have a good sense of how the board functions. And seen my son go through the Fremont Unified School District education system and really what it's helped him kind of come out as. Um, in terms of what the role actually entails as the Fremont Unified School District Board of Trustees is a governing body which has 5 voting board members. And we are running in the election for Area 4. So that's one of the 5 seats, and everybody has to kind of work together to provide governance, compliance, oversight. So a big part of what the board does is providing fiduciary oversight on public money, public trust, public resources. That's the big thing. If you think of Fremont Unified School District, that's a $500 million budget, over 3,000 employees, and over 30,000 students in 43 different schools. So the board is providing oversight. And sort of how the board would function is really in doing 5 things primarily: setting direction, establishing an effective structure, providing support to the administration, ensuring accountability, and finally providing community leadership as advocates for children, school district, and public schools in general. Um, from a story perspective, I would say that I'm primarily running because I want to ensure that every child at FUSD succeeds and on their own terms and regardless of their personal circumstances. So this is to me important. Schools are public systems, our school district is a public system, and it should serve every child in the community and ensure that every child is able to succeed. As a parent, when I watched my child go through Honor and Irvington, I felt like he was trying to fit himself into a little bit of a rigid definition of success around here. And I feel like our children need to see diverse paths to achieving success. They have different interests, different talents, and they should be able to bring that to bear. And they should be able to develop those interests and talents here and succeed in their own unique way. So that to me is the most sort of driving thing for running for the board seat. And if I become a board member, I would want to focus on really developing a nurturing environment, right, where every child feels like they belong, like they enjoy learning, investing in our classrooms. And that's what creates a foundation for every child's success. And finally, bringing together the community, students, educators, parents, administrators, to address any challenges that we have. Like this is a community. We as a community have that responsibility towards all our children. And my vision is that all students get a well-rounded education at FUSD, right? So it's math, sciences, languages, social sciences, arts, sports, and most of all, and you folks will agree with this, the critical thinking skills to be engaged citizens of tomorrow, right? So that's sort of what I'm going with over here. Yeah, so my top priorities, and I actually had to think about this as we put this together. where would I focus from a priority perspective? And my priorities are, first is student success. But I'll list all of them: student success, student well-being, and recruiting and retaining the best talent. And I'll talk about all three of them too a little bit. Student success, and some of that I alluded to already, it's really supporting diverse pathways to student success. Now, Fremont is known for excellent academic success, but some students are still being left behind. 8% of our FUSD students are not able to graduate. And we need to be able to support diverse paths to student success, be it four-year universities, community college, vocational training, career technical education, fine arts, performing arts, sports, like bring that holistic thing, just so students also get that sense of a sense of abundance in what the world offers them rather than a mindset of scarcity. Um, Finding innovative and modern ways to enable students to take advanced classes, but then ensuring that there is an enriching classroom experience for all classes. So whether somebody is taking a accelerated class, an honors class, or if they're taking a college prep class, right? Or if they're in a special education program, everybody should feel like they're having an enriching classroom experience. The second one is student well-being. And a lot of this comes into mental health, and really looking at where everybody's mental health is. And mental health is clearly an issue we've seen from the California Healthy Kids survey of FUSD junior high and high school students, that a lot of students report feeling so sad and hopeless every day that, for 2 weeks or more, that they stop doing even regular activities. So that being a problem, we need to improve mental health resources available to students, by creating, you know, more educators, counselors who can provide mental health support. We have wellness programs, we have wellness centers, but besides that, I feel like we should also get to the source of some of the anxiety and stress that students feel by cultivating a collaborative working environment for students, right? Learning to collaborate at high school is something that will take students a long way in their professional careers as well. As we, in our workplaces, we also see young people coming in. Sometimes we need to teach them how to collaborate. And that's something that hopefully all of you are learning while you're at school, how to come together and work together, fostering an environment that reduces student burnout. So helping students understand that you don't have to do a set of very rigorous things just so that you can get to college. I've sent two kids to college and understand what it takes. And yes, I know that it's a very stressful time in your life, but burning out in high school is not the way to get there. You need to conserve some of that energy and enthusiasm when you're in college. Finally, I'll talk about recruiting and retaining the best talent. And I mean, this may feel like corporate speak, but really, no institution can function really well unless you are able to retain and recruit the best people. And that goes to FUSD as well. I mentioned when we were talking earlier, like we have about 3,600 employees within FUSD, and these really should be, we should be attracting the best talent from around the country, the world, the Bay Area. Like Fremont should be seen as the place that any teacher wants to come in and work. Fremont should be the place where any district administrator wants to come in and work. Um, that means providing competitive salaries and benefits to our teachers, but it also means creating an environment where teachers can be creative, right? They should not feel like they are very rigidly bound by what they need to do in a classroom. They should be able to bring out their creative energies inside of the classroom, because creative teachers engender creative students, and successful students are coming out from that creativity. So it's important that not only are we from a funding and salaries perspective, but also making it a really great place to work for anybody who's at FUSD. So those are the areas that I focus on, and I will absolutely advocate for these within the board as we look at how budget is allocated, as we look at how resources are allocated within FUSD, and look at all these three areas to focus on. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that makes a lot of sense. Just as like a quick follow-up, I know in one of your first priorities, you brought up this 8% statistic, 8% aren't able to graduate within the FUSD. What are some specific reasons for this, and how have some of the plans you've discussed, how are they designed to specifically address this?
So some of the specific reasons, like we have a very diverse community at Fremont, and that's very true for the student community as well. We see higher numbers of students struggling to uh, complete graduation in marginalized communities, historically disadvantaged communities. So there is a lot of it is about ensuring that a nurturing environment and resources are available to support them. So for example, Fremont has a dual immersion program. There's a Spanish immersion program for families that uh, may not be English speakers, ensuring that that's not just funded well, but also resourced well, and that programs like that are provide, like the teachers who are running those programs or the administration that's running those types of programs are provided enough resources to make them successful, not just ensuring that they exist, but also that they are truly successful. This means, you may have to have smaller class sizes where there is more focus available, where the pace of teaching can be maybe slowed down a little bit to address the needs of kids that need time to catch up. After school support, homework support, if we can provide through the schooling system itself, where not everybody is able to use outside help to be able to catch up. But how can we provide that within the school system through our teachers, through volunteers? And this is what I mean, like the community has to take ownership also for ensuring that everybody is successful. And we need to keep our focus on the students that actually need help. It's sometimes great when we look at our graduation rates and we look at our how many of our students are getting awarded and how good our school ratings are. That's wonderful. But we also need to look at the data and the statistics for our students that are struggling and make sure that we are providing the resources to make that happen. And this is balancing from a budget perspective. It's about balancing and making sure the focus is uh, one of the things I say is like ensuring that you're hearing the voices that are not in the room, because a lot of times when you go to board meetings and you are listening to people, those who are able to organize are obviously heard, and their requirements are something that the board is always able to address. But we also need to be able to be hear the voices that are not in the room. We need to go out in the community and reach out to parents and reach out to families that need extra assistance and find out what their issues are. Yeah, great question. There are two pieces to that. One is the law. And California as a state has very progressive laws in terms of making sure that marginalized members of our community are protected. So ensuring that the legal protections are always in place, whether it comes to discrimination, whether it comes to marginalization. We need to make sure that even as an institution, when you're serving on the board, you're ensuring that the legal pieces and legal compliances are always followed, because that's one way of making sure that discrimination doesn't happen. The other side of it is looking to see where the marginalization is coming from, and also addressing things at the root. Uh, a big part of that is education and also community dialogue. You may have heard in social sciences the idea of othering, and the reason sometimes people get marginalized is because the folks with privilege in society end up othering them sometimes without even meaning to. And this means that you're looking at the marginalized as a different part of society, looking at the marginalized as, even if you're trying to help, you're still looking at them as separate. But we need to, through our education system, through our community building, we need to make sure that everybody feels as we look at everyone as part of our community, right? Someone who is unhoused, but someone who doesn't have shelter, or someone who is part of the LGBTQ community, or someone who has income issues or health issues through which they're marginalized. We need to see them as part of our own reflection, as part of our own community. And I would say, like, even within curriculum, within the high schools, within the middle schools, elementary schools, making sure that the way we learn, we learn to not marginalize. We learn to be inclusive, right? When we learn fiction, when we read fiction, when we learn social sciences, we learn to be always inclusive. There is even within special education, there is the idea of inclusive education, which is that rather than separating the special ed, the students who need special education outside the classroom, you actually bring them in with the rest of the students so that everybody learns from that experience. We all learn when we help others. We all learn when we have to slow down sometimes to make sure that others in our community get what they need. And it can be a very benefiting, enriching experience for ourselves too. And it's about bringing that mindset. And when you think about someone who serves in a community leadership position, whether it's a school board or city council or mayor, through that leadership position, you can drive some of that dialogue, you can drive some of that thinking within the community, which is inclusive. Let's start from, qualification or where I come from, right? So as I was mentioning earlier, I come with experience outside of this particular role. Obviously, this is my first time running for public office, but I have experience serving on other boards. So I currently serve on the board of WIBHA, which is a nonprofit organization focused on education. In fact, it was my experience with WIBHA that really taught me the power of public education, and what it can do for marginalized students. And serving on that board also gave me the experience of what it takes to manage funds for an organization, when you're looking at things like that. The other piece of it is my own education. I mean, I have a master's degree in not just on the engineering side, but I also have an MBA. So I have the ability to look at things from the financial side, but also look at logical, technical thinking. I also am currently pursuing courses in economics, in macroeconomics. That's been an area of interest for me, especially from public financing. I've done a lot of work in understanding how public sector budgets work, pretty much all the way from federal to state to local, and understanding how we as a community, as a nation, can use public funding to advance our common priorities overall. I'm a avid learner, constantly reading, constantly learning new ideas, concepts, and this role will require like a lot of reading, because you get agendas every 2 weeks. You're sitting in a board meeting, you're getting a pretty big agenda the previous week, a lot of material to go through so that you can come up with your thinking on how you want to vote on stuff. But then there's also bringing people together, not just while at the board. I mean, within the board, you might be familiar with the Brown Act, and there's limitations to how much you can like really work with other board members outside of a board meeting. But there is a lot of opportunity to work with other legislators, right? So I have relationships with the local legislators, whether at the state level, the state senator, US congressperson around here, bringing all of those relationships to bear when it comes to solving the problems of public education. I can also work with our current city council members. I know quite a few of them, worked with them in the past. So bringing all of that to bear into the role, because it's going to take a lot of creative thinking, a lot of listening to people, going out in the community and listening to people to address that. Now, when it comes to the priorities of student success, student well-being, retaining and recruiting teachers, and yes, as a budget, we are walking into $30 to $40 million budget cut to start with. That's going to be hard. The way the process works is right now the school district is collecting inputs from different groups on what they feel are the priorities. They're going to listen to that. Then the school administration, the superintendent and his team will make propose things on how they can come up with that $30 to $40 million cut, and the board will discuss and vote on different options within that. When I'm voting on those options, I will prioritize student success, student wellness, and retaining the best talent. That's the perspective that I'll go in with. But at the end of the day, when public systems are divested from, it is hard. And that's something that we're just going to have to work through the next few months and figure out.
That makes sense. That is kind of it. It was a pretty short interview. We just had those main questions. I think you provided us a really comprehensive view of what you're running on, how you plan to address this as of right now. And yeah, we hope that shows.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.